Okay, and there we go. Do. Welcome. Welcome everybody to the Dutch 2022 World Championship Dutch round of the Dutch Grand Prix in the Dutch land. So, and I'd like to welcome also my host Fabio, the expert Italian.
Yeah, hello. How are you doing?
Yes, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good. I'm feeling
Yeah.
Dutch today. That's going to be the
Okay.
theme.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, so if anybody saw, I don't know if you did or not because it hasn't been posted long. We have breaking news here on the
Yes.
Formula One 2022 Fabio and Funk channel. We are actually not on Fabio and Funk channel anymore. We are on the Simus Funk channel because let's face it, that's where you got a lot of background noise, by the way, Fabio. Don't know if you're
I
aware
got
of that.
I got a lot of scooters going on. I try
It's
to
a lot
mute
of
when they're going by. Yeah.
okay. All the people coming back from the Grand Prix, presumably, all those kids.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. So anyway, as you can see from the thumbnail, we've had a bit of a problem. Somebody set fire to the studios, so I can't use the Fabio and Funk studio anymore. I'm back in the Simon's Funk studio, and we're just going to wrap through the basically the Grand Prix review. I'm hoping, and if you could keep an eye on chat for me on the channel for a little while, I'm
I
hoping
do.
that
I
we will
do.
get at least a viewer or two.
Yes.
Although, who can tell? Now we don't have our flashy graphics and stuff. Who can tell? I'm waiting for Lucky Wolf, Lucky Seven Wolfin to turn up because I'd like him to jump in if he's there, and we're going to talk obviously about various bits and pieces. Good evening, Bub. Thank you so much. Good evening to yourself there. Oh, I have control of these things. I didn't know I did. I have no idea. And to Dog, thank you for turning up. That's really great to see you both again.
I'm I'm
Yeah.
I'm on the chat. I'm on it. So yeah,
Okay.
you keep doing that. I'll just say hi to everybody. So
I
yeah.
want to put them on the screen just so I don't
Right.
have
Right.
if something
Rightfully so.
happens.
Yes.
Dot dot
Yeah.
dot. But thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully we'll be having a chat about what was the name of the race in Sicily? I've forgotten the name.
Targa Florio.
Targa Florio, of course. Say
Targa
no more.
Florio was I think it's the oldest race ever in history.
Okay.
I think 1905. Wolfie knows more about it, of course, but I think it was 1905, 1906.
Okay.
Up
Okay.
until the 70, I think 77. There were, of course, during the war there was some
Okay.
interruptions, but yeah.
Of course. Okay, well, that'll be interesting. Something to look forward to a little later. In the meantime, of course, I'm going to do my quick review. So let me just get used to doing this. There we go. Thank you very much. So here is my quick review of the Dutch Grand Prix. Yeah, a fantastic pole position by Max Verstappen. Of course, as was expected, really, he was very fast this weekend again. He came with a new rear wing, and that gave him a lot more pace around this track than I was expecting, and I think the team were expecting, or other teams were expecting. We were expecting Mercedes to do really well. Ferrari, of course, their car fantastic. So there we go. And hello, Tomato. Thank you for stopping by, dude. Really appreciate it. Oh, and Lucky Wolf is here. Get in. Yeah, so hopefully we're going to have you on in a short while, and we'll be talking about that race, etc., etc. And any comments you've got on the F1 race. Anyway, just to move on. Um, okay, so yeah, the Ferraris, of course, were fast as usual, but again, the upgrade that Red Bull brought last race really working well around this circuit as we would have expected. Mercedes really catching up with Ferrari and doing a great job. So off the line, Verstappen really fast off the line, straight into turn one. Leclerc turn two into second place, and Sainz third, and then Lewis Hamilton in fourth with Perez dropping back. That was a theme. Perez getting a bad start really. Uh, there was contact out, funnily enough, in the first corner between Sainz and Lewis. Sainz being a little bit aggressive. Nonetheless, nonetheless, the Perez dropping back was a little bit of a surprise, and of course, from there, the Norris had a good start. Unfortunately, Magnussen into turn 4 or turn 5, I should say, turn 3, I should say, or coming out turn 2, messed up a little. Went into the gravel, hit his tyres. This put him to the back of the grid. He was not to recover. Russell started badly, but then by lap 15 or so, had caught up and overtaken um, Norris and put himself into 6th place. And then, of course, he then went on a charge into the first pit stops at lap 15. Came was it Sainz or Leclerc first? Fabio. Oh,
I'm
we're
sorry
doing
because
track
I
splitting.
was replying. So, would you
Yeah.
say?
Into the pits was Sainz first, wasn't it?
Yes, science
It was
first. Yes.
Sainz. And again, the theme really, I suppose, is what is Ferrari's mistake going to be? And of course, this was really it. He was called in late and didn't have a tyre ready, a rear left tyre ready, and therefore Perez managed to get out round him, and Sainz dropped his position heavily. I mean, heavily. 12.7 second pit stop, unheard of in Formula One for many years. So yeah, basically, Ferrari weren't ready. That's the way they sabotaged his race. Also, presumably, there was okay, we'll get to that problem later.
Yeah.
Then Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel had a really side by side, which is unheard of around this circuit for certainly. But again, both drivers respect each other. They both gave each other room. Fantastic lap 36 action. Then Russell trying to get past Perez. Perez pushing him out wide. All very legit, no problem. But Russell was, of course, absolutely flying at this point. A lap later, 37, Russell really making it count round the outside with DRS. And that, again, that was to be a feature of this particular circuit. Needing the DRS to overtake, almost essential, really. There weren't any overtakes, I don't think, unless you had DRS or a huge tyre difference. But DRS was essential. There were very few overtakes, of course, even though these cars allegedly can travel so close to each other. So yeah, Russell then moving up into 5th place. Sorry, 4th place, getting round Perez. That's the word I was looking for. In fact, it was Lewis. I beg your pardon, Lewis. All of that was Lewis getting around the outside into 3rd place. I'm going mad. It's because of the pit stops, right? When you look at the replays, you don't get who was pitting when. So that's the problem. Anyway, much later on, there was some kerfuffle. I'd say kerfuffle in the nicest possible way with Tsunoda, who actually had a problem with his tyres not being fitted when he came out of a pit stop. Then found out that they were fitted, although he'd stopped already once, loosened his seatbelts,
Yes.
then drove round again into the pits, only to find they were fitted correctly,
Yes.
and being told, and then to drive out again, whereupon he drove out again, and then, of course, finding out that they weren't fitted correctly once
Well,
again.
I think it was actually the differential. He broke the differential.
Sure.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just putting it in time. Well, I'm putting it in
Right.
the time sequence right
Oh,
now.
yes.
We found out later that it was the differential. At the time, the radio message from Tsunoda was saying he didn't think one of the tyres were fitted correctly. And that might explain why they drove out again on the second time, finding that they were fitted correctly. So anyway, he was then told to stop almost immediately. And this then brought out a safety car because of the position. This allowed Max Verstappen to pit, make an easy pit in the lead, come out in the lead on soft tyres. And that was enough to win him the race.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was obviously a conspiracy.
well,
Because
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
of
not. I'm
course.
not convinced it was a conspiracy. However, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that Red Bull really disliked Mercedes that much that they would sacrifice their second team. However, they have been known to sacrifice their second team on the
Yeah,
smallest whim.
right.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
who knows?
I
Who
got
knows?
news for you. They did.
They did.
So there you go.
I mean, the question is, did they know that it was a differential or not? Of course, and that's to be found out later, I suppose. But anyway, we'll talk about that some more after because I think you'll have something to say on that. Okay, then of course Russell pitted on the same situation. Sorry, Mercedes double pitted under that situation, and it was all back on again, really. Um,
No, they
so,
didn't double pit. Only Russell pitted.
oh no, I thought that was at the Bottas one because it was none of the 6 laps
Oh
later
yeah,
that
yeah, with
Bottas
the safety
finished.
car. Yes, no,
Yeah,
you're right.
so it was that was a virtual safety car that came
Okay,
out
yeah,
when
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sonoda
yeah.
pitted. I beg your pardon, my mistake. I said safety car. It was a virtual safety car. And then, of course, they came out, so that left the order as Verstappen 1, Hamilton 2, Russell 3. And there was nothing you can do because obviously they're all on new tyres again. However, the difference being, I think that Verstappen needed to pit one more. Oh, they didn't need to pit one more time. Actually, that was it. That was the race done right there.
Yeah.
Verstappen clearly all on the same set of tyres was fine. Then of course Bottas had an engine problem down the straight. That was called out for a full safety car, and rather than a virtual safety car, which meant that whoever stayed out would inherit the lead. That was to be Lewis Hamilton. While into the pits was called Verstappen, and late on Russell. So Russell was on soft tyres. Verstappen also, I believe, pitted for yellow tyres. I think he was given. Is that right? Oh no, he was put on.
It
See
was
again.
put on red tires.
He was put on red tyres, of course, which
Yeah.
gave him the victory. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the victory easy as. But it meant he still had to get past Hamilton because he lost the lead to Hamilton in that bit. And that was to be very easy, of course, because he had a speed advantage and he had a tyre advantage. And basically down the straight under DRS, that was absolutely no problem. Hamilton did get away to a bad start. He potentially could have done something. And the other thing is, by calling Russell into the pits to change his tyres, that guaranteed that that Verstappen would easily get by Hamilton, and also that Hamilton would lose several more places. So again, whether that's a Mercedes tactical thing, miss that made them lose the race, we don't know, but we'll talk about that in a little while. Lap 63, Russell easily overtook Hamilton again with DRS. As you'd expect, Hamilton really pissed at this point, almost made it too difficult for Russell. But nonetheless, that was the case. And also, like a few laps before the end, Leclerc also passed Hamilton. And so, that then left Sainz 2 seconds back. And there we go. And that was it. Sainz didn't manage to get past. So the order then was, finishing order this is for the race, was Verstappen. A flag to lights, or lights to flag race in first place. Russell, second, a great race by Russell. Third, Leclerc, disappointing. Hamilton, fourth, pissed. Sainz, a good recovery to finish in fifth place. Perez, disappointing in sixth place. Couldn't get his shit together all day. His car clearly lacking the pace that Verstappen's had. I don't think it was just driver. Alonso, a good race again in seventh. Norris, good race, eighth. Ocon doing his bit. Stroll in 10th place, a good race. Thereby Gasly, Albon, Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Kevin Magnussen some seconds behind it. Of course, this is after safety cars and stuff, so it doesn't really count. Jean-Georges Raoult, of course, that famous Chinese driver. No pronunciation there. And Ricardo extremely disappointing. One lap down. Latifi, Bottas out, of course, and Tsunoda out, of course. And that was the Dutch Grand Prix. This led this. I mean, this leaves, of course, an amazing points advantage for. Yeah, there we go. Amazing points advantage for Max Verstappen. 310 points in the championship to 201. So that is a 109 point difference now between first and second place. Leclerc equal with Perez, right, on sixth, just to show you how dominant that car is. Also, there was one other thing I will mention is that they really did sacrifice Perez at one point by testing the hard tyres on his car first and bringing it into the pits when he really didn't need to. He lost a shitload of places for that, but of course managed to catch those back up. And I think that was it, really. George Russell, fourth place, 188. Sainz, ahead of Sainz, 175, and Lewis Hamilton, 158. So the midfield's getting pretty congested. But of course, now almost guaranteed Verstappen will be the champion. Okay, so that was that. Let me just quickly look through the chat. Tsunoda instant was too comical to be staged. Yeah, almost. I mean, if they, the fact that he said, well, there's some stuff that came out after the race, wasn't there? Which is an engineer apparently over the radio had told him to come into the pits and then go out again and stop on circuit. So it's kind of like obvious, actually, that they had actually tried to fix it so Verstappen could get the thing, and it's not the first time. Hamilton overtaking 2 seconds after it was allowed. Overtaking Hamilton 2 seconds after it was allowed is such a Verstappen thing to do. Yeah, absolutely. His car advantage is absolutely huge. Lucky Wolf says the fact Hamilton was put in that situation seems farcical, Elvis. Yeah, I mean, it kind of does. Again, Mercedes are not that interested, I don't think, in who wins this year between their two drivers. Lewis obviously wants to hang on because he still wants the results, but clearly, unless they're actually going to be in first place, then Toto Wolff doesn't really mind, which is okay.
Okay, yeah.
I really appreciated, Bob says, I appreciated Russell going for softs. Yeah, absolutely. It made it much more interesting, that's for sure. So, absolutely right there. Okay, so that's just going through. You can comment on any of the chat you want as well, Fabio.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
over to you, mate.
I will touch some of the things they said in the chat. So first of all, I made some notes, but let me start from the end. I think we can all agree that Zandvoort sucks. It's yeah. I mean, it's like Monte Carlo, but it isn't. Yeah. I mean, the bankings are spectacular and all that shit, but really, I mean, it's nothing more than a glorified kartodrome.
Yeah, it's a karting track, a kiddies karting track.
So and I really do not understand. I mean, if you want to make a race in Holland, just put some work in Assen, and you could have a fantastic circuit. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair
straight
enough.
away. Yeah, now you said it. That's obvious. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, that's done. Yeah, Sunday. I think it was the festival of mistakes. And because a lot of people made mistakes. So, I mean, let's start, from the most obvious one, the sides being called really late, in the pit, and, they were missing a tire. People say it can happen. I say, no, it doesn't. It shouldn't happen. If those were the times where, people like Jean Todt or even Montezemolo was, when Montezemolo was president, Jean Todt was there, today it would have been fire in Maranello. I would have been. I mean, I live about, I don't know, I think it's like 200 kilometers, from Maranello, but I wouldn't see a storm going there, right? Tornadoes and lightning. So it shouldn't happen. It keeps happening. apparently Nico Rosberg, agrees with us. Last Sunday, he said, "Yeah, Mattia Binotto is an engineer, but they should put some other person like a manager in there." I'm glad that even Nico Rosberg agrees, with us. We've been saying that since last year. Yeah, people are starting to see the light. So the most obvious was obviously the tire resides in Ferrari, but I want to point out some other funny things which happen, some blatant mistakes. I will start with Mercedes. Mercedes made the same strategy as Ferrari made in Silverstone, exactly the same strategy. And we all said that Ferrari fucked it up in Silverstone, so Mercedes fucked it up. There is one difference though. Ferrari in Silverstone managed to win anyway. Mercedes, managed to lose. So, that thing, if we want to be fair, we have to treat, Mercedes and the pit Mercedes, as bad as we treated, Ferrari in Silverstone. That's another one. Toro Rosso and the old differential thing. I think that's fucking hilarious, because so Tsunoda stops and he says the tire doesn't work, and he obviously felt something wrong in the differential. All the bloody engineers cannot say that it's the differential. They tell it to come back later on this, and then it goes away, and then they realize stop it because it's the differential. So that guy made alpha lap with a broken differential. He stopped and then told it to come back, and during this other alpha lap they couldn't figure out it was the differential. They only realized it after they changed the tires again, put it back on the track, and they say, it's the differential. So that's another thing which it boggles my mind. Lewis Hamilton made another big mistake. He had a really bad restart after the safety car. He basically made the same mistake that he made last year in the last race. So again, if you want to be fair, we got to be fair. He knew that he had Verstappen on his back. Verstappen, car has been always faster than him. He pulled away too soon. He should have pulled way later, give him less draft, but he decided to give it a go. I don't know, maybe he was thinking about, Russell giving him a hand, maybe a little bit closer. He didn't, but, again, what I saw was, the same mistake he did last year in Bahrain. He made this year in Zandvoort.
Yeah.
So again,
I think he was very.
Oh yeah. He was super pissed off
and distracted by the Mercedes call. If he thought about it, he would have been much slower to the line, and potentially.
He was as pissed off as Leclerc in Silverstone. See what I did there? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I do.
So the other thing is the race direction in all its entirety. So they pull a late safety car when Bottas stops in the straight. I mean, that's an automatic safety car. It has to be called like now before the guy just even stops. But they waited a little bit. A lot of people missed the window of opportunity to get in the pits. So I would say that the other thing is that they allowed Tsunoda to make alpha lap without his safety belts on, which is a big no-no. I mean, they're all really careful on safety. You cannot drive an F1 car without safety belts. It's
they said that he didn't take it off. They said he loosened it. Although how you loosen those, I have no idea without actually hitting the button to take them off.
Yeah, no, you have to take the central button one, the 8-point harness. You have to do that. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Anyway, so again, race direction. What the fuck they were thinking? I have no idea. I would say that I want Masi back. Right now, I want Michael Masi back. Because we have crucified that guy for one mistake. I mean, I will give you, it was a major mistake.
But several mistakes. But
okay, let me put it in another way. We have crucified Masi for a major mistake that he made in Bahrain. Was it a mistake? Wasn't it? I don't know, but it was. Everybody make a big fuss about it, and nobody is bashing an eyelid about all the shit which just been going on
Yeah.
in Zandvoort last Sunday. And so if that's the reasoning, at least with Masi, we know that it's going to be consistent. It may be consistently bad. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was that bad, to be fair, with you. I mean, he made mistakes like everybody did. It was new to the job. Now we put some other people. They still making, they still fucking up. So, yeah, I would say give Masi back. Bring Masi back. There you
Okay. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'd like to now introduce a guest who hopefully will be a regular. I'm going to call him. Oh, thank you very much. I have that there. So let me just get that. Okay, thank you. That's very funny. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Lucky Seven Morphin, who to the show. Thank you very much. Okay, you're now in, Lucky. Are you there? Can we hear your audio? Let's just do this.
Yeah, you guys can hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can hear you.
can.
Thank you. You're coming through real clear.
Yes.
Perfect.
So
Excellent.
that's great. That's great. Thank you for joining us. How did you want to just comment quickly on the GP? How did you find it?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Thank you for
I haven't
being
seen
here.
the whole race yet. I've only seen highlights. Normally, one of the guys at work and I watch it during the day because he's got some streaming thing that he can watch it on. But unfortunately, he didn't show today. So all I've seen are so far the highlights of the race. Now, as you were talking about Zandvoort, I thought you prematurely brought that video up, but as you brought
I
it up,
did. Sorry. Yeah.
as you brought it up, I thought I would contribute to your Zandvoort abuse and give an example of normal racing at Zandvoort.
Okay. Let's go for this then. Nick.
Yeah.
If nothing else, this definitely shows that if you want to purchase drugs, Holland is the place to go to.
Yes.
Look at this.
And
This guy
sort of
can't even
turns-
get across the line.
it kind of turns into a replica of what happened yesterday, to be honest with you, at some point.
Yeah,
And this is just only in Holland.
Absolutely.
So,
All the cars are dafts. Did you notice that?
yeah, there
remember
is a
that?
funny thing. There is a funny thing about those cars, though. You know what, right? Those cars are as fast because they're kind of automatic, and there is like an inverter. So those cars are as fast backwards that they are onwards. They make exactly the same speed.
Okay. So
That-
they've
I
actually
remember-
set up to.
There you go.
I guess this is where Jos Verstappen really cut his teeth, and you
Yeah.
can tell by his career.
Yeah.
He finished third in this race. But I hope Peter's here to see this.
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm sure he'll catch up with it later, maybe. Anyway, there you go.
That's just awesome. There's no crash helmets or anything. I see that guy got out of the car there. He didn't even have a crash helmet on. So.
Yeah, well,
Welcome
Yeah,
to Holland.
yeah, exactly.
A weekend in Amsterdam.
I smoked a big spliff beforehand, and that's enough to make my brain go a little soft. Yeah, okay. So there
On a
you
more
go.
serious note, I think Zandvoort is an absolutely brilliant circuit.
Oh,
new
sorry,
okay.
Zandvoort
Could
is-
you say that again for me?
Yeah.
On a serious note, Zandvoort, the new Zandvoort is a seriously good circuit. I really like
Okay.
it.
Can you kick the guy right now? Sorry, joking.
Listen, it's got a huge range of corners. It's three-dimensional. It's not a flat circuit. There's
it's
off
true.
camber, there's on camber, there's up, there's down. It's a really nice driver circuit. If you've ever done any sort of sim racing or anything like that, it's a really nice circuit.
Okay, so I agree with you. It's nice to drive.
Yeah.
It's shit to make a race on it To watch a race on it is shit, especially with modern F1s, which are, as wide as, Samuel's mom. And,
Yeah, I agree with
so
you.
there is no bloody overtake, it's a single line basically. So, I mean, I'm sure, I never raced, I never drove in Zandvoort, I'm sure it's a fun circuit to drive on. I'm positive about that. But making a race, especially F1, fuck no. It's
Absolutely. It's not spectator friendly. That's for sure.
yeah.
It's not big enough. I mean,
What?
it's
Yeah.
just basically it's just not big enough.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
it just
Fabio
seems to-
nailed it earlier when he said it's a karting circuit.
Yeah.
That really it's an overgrown karting circuit. It never was big enough, even in the 70s and the early 80s when they raced on it. You never used to get much overtaking back then. Well, you didn't get overtaking back then. Very, very rarely would you get anybody overtaking.
Yeah, the first corner was the place to overtake, and if you didn't
Yeah,
get
and
past
still
there,
is,
you were line astern until you got back onto that straight. So yeah,
Exactly.
one could
Yeah,
assume
it's like Monaco, but it's not in Monaco. There isn't even the glamour of Monaco. You know what I mean?
Monaco on a beach which isn't quite
Yeah.
as,
It's Monaco with 300 people, with 300 drunk, people around the circuit, which is not exactly glamour and fashion. So you get all the yachts and you replace them with drunken Dutch. You got Zandvoort. That's
drunk and old fishing boats. Yeah.
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
One
What-
thing
what were you-
I
go
do have
ahead.
criticism of is the pit lane exit. I'm not
Oh,
sure how
yeah.
they can resolve it, but it just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
You're coming out of there on a hard left. You've got to know where you're going, and then you've got to look for cars coming behind you as well. And Vettel showed exactly what the
Yes.
problem was.
Yeah. Very true. That
And-
was
and the
actually
pit-
a very dangerous moment because
And-
yeah, go ahead, Fabio.
No, and the pit lane is also really short and narrow. The
And
boxes
narrow.
were all one, attached to the others. It's not by chance. I think that the speed limit this weekend in the pit lane was 60 kilometers an hour and instead of 80 because, I mean,
It's too
Well,
narrow.
when Sainz came out in front of Alonso, I mean, you that could have been a disaster because there was I'm not sure what car it was that was in front of
I think it
Sainz's
was
pit box,
Latifi,
but all the mechanics were out, and those two cars were both heading towards them, and if they'd hit, somebody was going to get hurt back.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and again, I know this is kind of tangential, but it kind of reminds me of the entrance to Barcelona as well, in the old days where it was round the last corner, the entry was. So you literally would go around the last corner as fast as you could, and only on the racing line, and then quickly duck across and brake. And that, of course, led to a huge crash one year with, I think it was Massa, actually flipping his car because he caught somebody else's tire at high speed.
Was that
So
not
I
Berger?
think there is that danger as well, but maybe
Was
it's
that not
not
Berger
as
and
bad.
Patrese? Or am I thinking? of
Yes, thank you,
Berger and
Lucky.
Patrese?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It was Patrese. Yeah. So again, I just think maybe it isn't. I don't know. Yeah, no, it is long enough ago that my memory is not good. So I'll defer to your wisdom on that.
The reason I know that is because 2 days ago I watched a video, a Legends of F1 video, which was Gerhard Berger, and he obviously talked about that as one of the things that happened
Okay.
during his time. So that's why I remember it. It was only 2 days ago. It was been any longer than that.
so I'm sorry. Becker was speaking a comment on Legend of Grand Prix. He wasn't the legend, right?
He was actually the legend.
He was the legend. Okay, that's fantastic. Yes,
He was legend. Listen, if you're making some sort of implication,
I'm just saying, man. Listen, I've had troubles with people, before this week. That when I said things, they thought I was making implication that didn't happen. I don't want to make any implication anymore. So yeah.
well, just to comment on that, the video I posted a wee while ago about Nelson Piquet, if you remember, Nelson Piquet was asked
Oh yeah.
at that or at the time when Berger was still with Ferrari, who he thought was the best driver in Formula One currently, and he said Gerhard Berger. He gets paid an absolute fortune and he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Nelson Piquet is kind of a character. I wouldn't necessarily trust him as the best judge of characters
Oh, no,
ever. You know,
absolutely not.
I mean, he obviously, he didn't like Senna, for obvious reason. And Nelson Piquet also, it's funny you mentioned that because the reason I'm quite well, I'm quite familiar with Nelson Piquet because he was racing, of course. But there is a funny thing. He broke his arm in my hometown while he was visiting a yacht that was built, here, and he just slipped on the walkway and he broke his arm, right here. And I thought it was super funny, Yeah, that guy, races F1 cars and then he slips on a stairs, visiting his yacht and he breaks his arm. Eccleston was super happy about that. I think he was racing with Eccleston.
Did you say racist F1 cars or racing F1 cars?
He raced F1.
Oh, okay. He raced.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, misheard you. It's the PK thing. I don't know.
I would absolutely agree. You should take what Piquet says with a pinch of
Yeah.
salt. I mean, he's obviously nutty as a fruitcake. There's no doubt about
Yeah.
it. Obviously, he's nutty as a fruitcake. But speaking of Piquet and racism, apparently he recently described Mr. Hamilton as the Portuguese equivalent of the N-word.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. And what I really liked about it was Max Verstappen, who's going out with Piquet's daughter, had to come to his defence and say, "Well, he's
Yeah.
just old." Yeah, that's how people talk.
Which, but I mean, by the way, it's not a bad defense. If you think, I mean, it's true, So
Yeah, it might be true, but nonetheless, it's ironic
yeah,
that Max Verstappen had to do that with his dad Jos, who, let's face
Yeah.
it, was never shy of calling.
He seems to be very bitter.
well, Nelson Piquet is also the guy which said he was better than Senna because he was alive and Senna was dead. So come on,
We know he's an arsehole. Gotcha.
yeah, come on, really? I mean, do you have to go lower than that? Because I don't know.
He's definitely not a Senna fan. He's definitely
No.
not about
No.
Senna. Apparently,
Okay.
Nelson Piquet has a library at a school named after him, whereas
Yes.
Senna has got government buildings named after him and this sort of thing. So
Yes.
he's bitter about it.
And a corner, obviously.
Yes.
Or two corners, actually, but, there you go. Center S.
Can I just say, sorry, I'm changing gear completely because there is something I want to say, and I'm sorry, I'm totally changing the subject.
That's fine,
That
that's fine.
I said, last episode about the technical directive 39 and how that might be impacted, the Ferrari performance in Spa. So I looked a little bit more into it, and I actually looked into Spa specifically, and so I have to say that I think I kind of implied that some of the problems that Ferrari had in Spa might have been derived from the 39 technical directive. I've got to make a correction about that, and the reason is that the height of the car in Spa specifically is made according to the depression, which is after the Eau Rouge Rallye thing. Mm-hmm. So, funnily enough, and again, I had to look into it because there was something which didn't struck me as super correct. I said what I said, but if you remember, I was a little bit sketchy about it. Funnily enough, F1 cars in Spa are quite high as far as height go, specifically because when they get after the Eau Rouge Rallye complex, they just smash the car, they just bottom the car. So they not usually, they ride really high, way higher, than you would think. It's a very fast circuit, so that wasn't the issue. I don't know if that was the issue. This circuit, we will. I think that we might have some answers next weekend in Monza. that I think might be a good test bed for the whole, technical directive 39. I mean, we should have some, data on that, because, the circuit is really smooth, the circuit is fast, so it's a circuit which, actually, I wouldn't say helps, but it should show, porpoising or, bottoming, very well. And we will see if there is as much porpoising as, we think that there should be. So, yeah, I just want to say that because I wrote it down. So I got to point it out because I don't want to.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I mean, Italy, of course, 9th to the 11th of September. So that is in 1 week's time again.
Yes.
So we're on a, what is it, triple header this time? Or no, double header. But Monza, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. With that huge straight, low downforce though this time. But that, if, the wings will be low, right? So what they'll do underneath the car, I don't know. They'll probably do some blocking off, etc. So we may see some spurious results as a result of the car's not having so much downforce on top, and therefore the porpoising will be more exaggerated. Or
well,
if they
yeah, no, but that,
control it, the wing
right? No, but
then not. Go ahead.
But that's exactly the point, because according to how it's written, the new technical directive should measure that they have a system. I think it's called we said last time. I think it's called AOM or something like that. Where they measure the amplitude of the oscillations, and stuff like that. So,
and the default, yeah.
Yeah, and so we should see if that has an impact or not, because they will have to, to comply to those kind of regulations, right?
Yeah.
So we will see.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay.
As you're
Go
talking
ahead,
about Spa, can I just ask you to cast your mind back, gentlemen, to 1999?
Yeah, fuck you. I mean, I can't remember what I ate yesterday for lunch. Now you want me to think about 1999. Okay, carry on. Yeah, I will entertain you. Yeah.
Are you talking Spa 1999?
We're talking Spa 1999, indeed we are.
Yes, yes.
I think you know what's coming, perhaps.
Well, I doubt it, but I do. I
knowing-
think Villeneuve was the standout then.
Yeah.
No. Eddie Irvine is in the lead because Schumacher broke his legs at Silverstone, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Eddie Irvine's in his Ferrari in the lead. Came into the pits
Yeah.
for his first pit stop.
Yes.
do you
And
know
the
that?
tire was missing, and
Do you
that's how he
remember?
lost. That's how he lost the championship. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Ferrari reliving 1999 at Spa.
I have a funny story about that. But no, it's true. Bear with me for a second. That was, narrated by an Italian journalist. So this is how the story goes, right? I'm just relating verbatim. After the race in Spa, Ross Brown, which, he was living in close to Maranello, stuff like that, he stopped at a gas pump. And the reason why the journalist knows is that, he was living in the same village, so, and he knew, the guy putting, gas in there. And he was usually putting gas in there because it was on the way to Maranello. Anyway, they stopped there, and the gas attendant, just asked Ross Brown, what the fuck did you do in Spa? What happened with the tire? And, and stuff like that. What was going on? And so the funny thing is that Ross Brown, tried, engage with the guy, and basically what he told him, there was a lot of confusion because if you remember, Schumacher was injured, and I think who was the driver that they called? Oh fuck. Yeah. Anyway,
He was awful.
yeah. No. Yeah. Just an obscure driver. So we had some problems. No, I don't know. So there was some problems in there, because the other driver, pitted before, and yeah, we had some problems. So the gas attendant looked at him, and he said, "Well, did you manage to make the other guy, the other driver, out with 5 tires then?" And so the story goes that Ross Brown never put any more petrol in the car in that gas station because the guy obviously called this bullshit. Said yeah, we had problems with the car before, and they asked because you put 5 tires on the other car, so you missed one on Irvine one. So yeah, I mean, but those were different times, I guess. Where Ross Brown was making petrol and having a conversation with gas attendants. But yeah,
There you go. I just looked it up. Mika Salo.
Like I said,
yes, Mika Salo. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
he was
Mika
a
Salo.
test driver at the time, also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was
And
terrible.
there you go.
Yes.
But
He
yeah,
wasn't a bad driver on his own, right?
Ferrari doesn't seem to have got themselves organised yet. Still doing the same mistakes.
Yeah, although I can look, a couple of things I'd say about this. Zandvoort, I don't know why. Again, I said this last year. I said it the year before when we weren't even racing on Zandvoort. Okay, I said.
No, you're right.
Why?
You said that.
Why are we going to Zandvoort? It's a shit circuit. It was always a shit circuit back in the day. It's still going to be a shit circuit. It's too small. It's not good enough for the Formula One cars because clearly, it was exciting back in the day because you used to see a lot of four-wheel drifting.
Yes.
Okay, because it's a karting circuit. Why are they racing on a karting circuit?
And the car was smaller.
And the cars were a lot smaller,
And
a lot
to say the least.
Yeah.
So, again, and lighter, more importantly as well. So you could drift them then as well without too much problem. But the point being is, they have dropped circuits because the pit lanes have been too small.
Yes.
Now, why, even with a redevelop, and I agree with Lucky, the circuit looks fantastic, right? With the banking, it looks very spectacular. It's always been a great circuit for the driver's point of view, but there's only one line on it. It's never been good for overtaking.
Yeah.
So I don't understand, with the dangers inherent in this thing, why we're there. Unless, of course, I know why, of course. I've been around Formula One long enough to know that once you get a Formula One champion from a particular thing, then it's almost de rigueur that you go to a circuit in the same country. And clearly Zandvoort had the money to pay for the cost of running the Formula One race, and no other circuit wanted to because of the cost of upgrading the circuits to come to FIA standards. Silverstone have had this problem for years, of course. So I'm just disappointed again with the FIA.
Do you think if it wasn't for Max being in F1, there wouldn't be a Zandvoort?
No way.
It's purely.
No way.
Yeah. No.
Well, it's right off his success.
I mean, listen, especially after last Sunday. And I mean, when you have people, so we have races here like Monza, right? We have races here like Imola, where people is really super passionate. In Monza, they basically invented, the fact that people got in the track after the race. So it's really hard to think about, a place where people is less passionate about engines, and motor racing. I have never seen people from the stands throwing, smoke sticks on the track.
That was stupid.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
At least in Silverstone, at least in England, they have people running on the track. They're risking their balls, right? That they're idiots. Yeah, they're idiots. I would say they're idiots, but they're risking their life. Kudos to them, maximum respect. But yeah, you throw a smoke stick on the track. How stupid are you?
Yeah. And again, did you see how many flares went off after the race? There's supposed to be no flares, but of course, Okay, but we know that there is some kind of irresponsibility, shall we say, with a certain number of Eastern European people, or people from Eastern Europe, as I'm now considering Holland to be. Okay, and this is a second. Yeah, I know it's a jab. But whatever. Okay, speaking of jabs, Bob from Holland is wondering about his accent. That's your accent, Wolf.
It's a Dutch. It's not a Dutch accent. It's Scottish.
No, it's Scottish.
Yeah.
No, I'm not Matt Bell kind of Scottish. I've got a more sort of west end of the city Scottish accent.
Oh dear. What's this? Fabio's sniped to death 10 times in a minute when they're gaming. You're not wrong there, dog. You're not wrong there. Okay, so I think that's the review of Formula One. We also wanted to I don't know whether you still do, Lucky, but we wanted to talk about well, Fabio, what was the name of the race? Targa
Targa
Florio?
Florio.
Yeah,
Florio.
La Targa Florio. I have to say it with a Dutch accent, otherwise nobody understands what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, let me give you sort of some background to this, so you
Yeah.
know why I'm asking. When I was a younger lad, um, when the Targa Florio was still going, which was very early 70s, my father used to get a magazine called Motorsport that's published here in the UK, which Simon's all know. And I used to see pictures of Targa Florio, and I thought it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking a group. I think it was a Group C Alfa Romeo going around a hairpin bend, and on the outside of the bend is a guy selling whatever, the Italian equivalent of hot dogs, a woman with a donkey, a family, total family, all standing outside of this corner, no crash barriers, no safety. The safety was the village copper telling people they can't go down that road, sort of thing. And I thought it was amazing. And I just thought you might give us some sort of brief insight into the Targa Florio and the reason it stopped, which is maybe obvious, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. You can talk over this. I haven't got the audio up.
That's an Alfa Romeo P33.
Now-
Fantastic car.
This was an actual circuit that you did. It wasn't like just going from point A to point B, but yet the cars are not all starting at the same time. So what was the deal with who won and how did you win, this sort of stuff?
Well, it's like an hill climbing race. They time you, so
Got you.
and or like the TT motorcycle race in the Isle of Man.
Got you?
Yeah, I mean they time you when you start, and whoever is fastest wins. So that's pretty much the gist of it.
Fair enough. So it was point A to point B rather than a circuit.
Well, they had various iterations, I would say. There were free circuits which were used. So in '77, I'm not really sure which one they used, but they had free circuits, and it was a roundabout circuit. So they made several laps on the circuit. That's what
Right.
I'm saying. So you
Okay.
start. So if people is familiar with the TT race, in the Isle of Man with the motorcycle, it was exactly like that.
Right.
You start, you get a time, and then I don't know how many laps they did, depending on the circuit. I think in the '70s, even in the '20s they were making something like 18 laps, like 20 laps and stuff like that. It was a proper endurance race. Yeah.
I mean, look at that. Just people standing at the side of the road. No barriers, no nothing.
No
Houses there. Look, on the right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those cars are like 1,000 brake horsepower, right?
Well, I mean, listen. This is like the Mille Miglia used to be, and it's not that different from a modern rally. If you go to watch a rally, it is basically. I mean, it's a little bit different because there are some areas where the public is not allowed to be, like that guy would be, taken away.
Yeah.
But it's not that difficult, that different, if you get what I mean. And it was huge. I mean, you can see from the amount of people, it was bloody huge.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's dangerous as fuck.
Yeah.
Now,
It's dangerous as fuck.
where exactly is the circuit situated?
Say what? Sorry.
Where is it actually situated?
It's in Sicily.
It's in Sicily.
Yes, and there were several circuits. So there was, and I'm reading because fuck me if I remember. There was the big circuit of the Madonie, which was 148 kilometers. Then there was the medium circuit of the Madonier, was 108 kilometers. The small circuit of the Madonier was 72 kilometers. And then there were, smaller ones like Parco della Favorita, which was, like 5 kilometers. And this is, and again, in Parco della Favorita, they race, from 37 to the 40s. So the one you would see now, it's in the late 70s. So that would be a 72 kilometer circuit.
Right.
And it's a legendary circus, I mean, among the winners of that circus, there is people like I don't know, let me check, but Tazio Nuvolari, Achille Varzi, Villoresi, which were all F1 drivers too. So Taruffi, Stirling Moss won there, Musso, Bart, Wolfgang von Trips, which he was also racing a 24-hour Le Mans. Ricardo Rodriguez, the famous Mexican one that the circuit is dedicated to. Vaccarella, who else? Merzario, again another F1 driver. So I mean, it was big deal. And if you see the winners there, you can see Porsche, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Osella, Chevron. I mean, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just to say this as well. I've just noticed they've done a version of the track in Assetto Corsa.
Yes.
Which is a
Oh,
driving
yeah.
game. So, okay.
There is a funny. I mean, there are several stories about the Targa Florio, but one is really peculiar. I think you guys might be interested. In 1926. There was a huge accident. One driver died. Blah 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 blah. So that was the 17th edition, and the car number of Conte Masetti, which died, was number 13. That number has never been given to any other driver since then, with one exception. Pastor Maldonado. It didn't bring him any luck at all. But yeah, you will not see that number 13 to basically any car in any race ever because of that accident. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
just to put this up here, I know while we're talking. This is from 2016. And it's just somebody driving the circuit. I don't think it's not a race or anything, you know what I mean? But you can see the pits there on the right.
Yeah.
And the stands. Amazing. Amazing they've still got that and they've preserved them as well. Obviously, they're historic races. So.
There are a lot of really funny stories. And again, that circuit has been, a legend in those years. There was one year that they... there was a because of the accidents of the previous year, there was a straight where it was prohibited to overtake.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you had to fucking race. So I mean, what is the worst thing you can do? Okay, that stretch you won't overtake. Everything else is up for grabs.
Yeah.
But he's right when he said, they were, running among the people. We saw from the video. Let me show you. I got a picture here. Maybe it might be
just share it.
interesting.
I'll put it up.
Yeah.
Let me just see if there's anything.
And and the reason why the guy is running on it is because it was a normal road.
Just look at that.
Yeah.
That's just awesome.
Yeah.
It's just like the Isle of Man.
It's a road.
Yeah.
I mean, open to the public. They close it for the race because it's Italy and there is a race. And fuck you. I mean, we're gonna close the road. So if you're either home or you will never get home that day.
Yeah.
So because
I also just have to point out how similar that is to Fabio's biking rides.
Yes, it's exactly like that. Yes.
So there we go. 1971.
That guy is actually really slow, but yeah.
Okay, let me just share the picture. There we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Look at
that's a
people having
Lancia.
coffee in the background.
You see,
Wow.
that's a Lancia Stratos Group C on the left, overtaking. I think it's might be a Lola on the right. I'm not really sure. There you go.
My
Some
favorite.
hay on the side, and that's it.
That'll go in fire.
Yeah, that's because that's going to stop a car going at 150 miles an hour. Bit of hay. They were very optimistic back then.
And still,
so-
that circuit is wider than Zandvoort. So, yeah, deal with it.
Fabio says they didn't like Maldonado, giving him 13.
Wow.
No, I don't think Maldonado liked anybody either. So it was
No,
Maldonado is my fucking personal hero. Maldonado managed to spin his car and destroy the rear. I think it was a Williams in Colombia during a show off where the president invited him, to for a show, stuff like that. And there is a video of him, arriving really fast to a roundabout. He couldn't brake. The car, the rear just, goes in front. He spins and he hits the curb, which is not a curb. It's actually, the roundabout that high, and he completely destroyed the car. That was Pastor Maldonado. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. I think we'll call it the end there. We've got in 1 week's time Italy,
Yes.
the Italian Grand Prix, which is a fantastic Grand Prix. I want to especially thank Lucky Seven Wolfin for being with us. I think you've really added to the show, so thank you so much. Hopefully you'll be able to come back next week. I don't know.
well, again, thank you for having me. Is Peter not here today, though?
He's not, unfortunately.
No, he's not.
That's really a shame.
He got caught in an accident, shall we say, or a maxident. I don't know how to refer them.
Okay.
And basically, he burnt the show down, so he's
Yes.
not going to be with us anymore. Hence the new graphic designer. We've got a new producer who's not as good, but he's nonetheless a real trier. So that's how we're going to say that.
I also need to thank Fabio for his rundown on the Targa Florio. Thank you very much for that, sir.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I mean, when Samus told me about it, I said, okay, that's really cool. I mean, somebody knows about that race. Yeah, that's fantastic. So
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
as I said, the pictures of the cars from my childhood have always stayed with me. But in those days, I was too young to be able to understand what was being said about stuff. So yeah, that's it. I'm glad you told us all about this.
yeah, that was another thing we haven't said, because we said I forgot about it because I told it to Simons before the show. Targa Florio is I think it's the oldest race ever made. It started in 1905. So later on, I think there is the Carrera Panamericana, which is a couple of years later, and there is another one which I can't remember. But yeah, it was supposed to be the oldest race in the world, and it was born because a count, Florio, it was an actual person.
Right.
He was fascinated with cars and said, "Yeah, fuck it, we gotta have a race because
Right.
because this is how they rolled. They see a car, okay. The Germans would say, "Oh, we brought you a means of transportation," and you bring it in Italy. They say, "No, fuck you. We're gonna race that shit."
I just want to point something out. There was a London to Brighton race in 1896.
Yeah, but have they ever done? How many times have done it?
Oh, it's been run every year since virtually. I mean, a few years where the war happened and all of that, where they've never done it.
Okay.
But it's
technically a race, though.
It's not technically a race. As
Yeah,
such.
see?
It's a run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I think there was
yeah,
some time sections in it, but I don't think it was very competitive. I think
No,
you
it's-
would probably stop to help one of your competitors if they had a puncture or something like that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all
Well,
depends on the-
Very British.
And also they had to stop at 5 for tea. So yeah. That's not really a race. That's the reason why they can't make an endurance race in the UK. Because got to stop for tea. Got to make it in France.
They couldn't make it a race because the guy standing in front of the cars with the red flag couldn't go that fast.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah, they had apparently in the 18th. It was done before that because it was a locomotive thing. But in what did they say? 1878, they increased the speed to 14 miles per hour. Yeah.
Oh, that's mental.
So yeah, I mean you're talking rip roaring. That back in the day when straw bales really were track safety. But there you go. Anyway, look, we could diverse, or we could go on and.
No, sorry, just to specify because you're right. So technically, I'm just reading right now because I remember incorrectly. Technically, the Targa Florio is the oldest endurance race in the world. So that in that particular category, that should be. But yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, endurance is important. Although I can tell you, in 1896, if you could get a car from London to Brighton, that was endurance. So there you go. But as Bob says, that race is so old, there are cave paintings of it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And he says, thanks for the show. Great show. Thank you very much, Bob. And again, hopefully you'll be back with us, Lucky, if you don't mind. We'd really enjoy having you here. And that will be in 1 week's time for the Italian Grand Prix 2022. So thank you and ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Have a great evening, guys. Catch you later.
Thanks, Lucky. Bye. Thank you, everybody. And